All right, Larry Krueger here from the Pig and a Pickle Krug Show with a little 49er video, some draft prospects for the Niners that I absolutely fell in love with in Indy watching the Combine over the weekend. And, of course, we're also brought to you by not just Pig and a Pickle. Check them out, 2 locations, Emeryville and Corte Madera, but we're also brought to you by Underdog Fantasy. Check the link in the description. Use the promo code Krug, and they will match you up to $100. All right. Watched a lot of the Combine this weekend. And it's an event that you can't watch it without falling in love with a few prospects along the way. Just because you see, players that were great in the season, and then you watch them in these drills, and they get interviewed, and you get a chance to kind of learn more about them. One of the guys that I thought was just tremendous all season long was Terion Arnold for Alabama, who wears number 3. They're 6 foot, 195-pound corner from Tallahassee, Florida. He's a redshirt sophomore. Went to John Paul II Catholic High School, All-American in high school. I mean, he was this is, a top guy, one of the top safety prospects in the country, 5-star recruit. He goes to Bama, and he chose Bama over Florida, Georgia, Miami, Florida State. He was heavily recruited. Didn't see action for the Crimson Tide in 2021. He redshirted at the season's end, but then busted out. Was an freshman All-American in 2022. First team All-American by the AP in 2023. And this kid is just such a great kid. I mean, it's just unbelievable. He took to the podium. He thanked his mother. He's just a special personality. I mean, you want that kind of player in your locker room for sure. So number 1 on the list of draft or of combine guys that I just fell in love with, Terion Arnold. I mean, he's a tremendous player, but then you can kind of see what a tremendous person he is. And when you could have that kind of player, man, you just don't go wrong. I mean, when you got that kind of player and that kind of person, that kind of athleticism and that kind of character, man, that's how you build your football team. So, I mean, if the Niners somehow traded up and took Terion Arnold, I'd be fine with that. He's probably going to be a top 15 pick. Another guy who I fell in love with watching him this weekend in Indy, Braden Fisk, the defensive lineman from Florida State. He had he ran 4.78 in the 40, and then when he crossed the finish line, he let out an "oh yeah," and that was an unmatched number by the defensive tackles. But then when you watched him in the drills, the guy's footwork is unbelievable. 33.5 vertical jump, which is not crazy. 9.9 broad jump. He transferred from Western Michigan, and he really stood out. He had a 4.37 second short shuttle. That's a mark that was better than Aaron Donald's 4.39 recorded 10 years ago. He's 6'4", 292 pounds. The motor just doesn't turn off. This guy blows up plays in the backfield. Braden Fisk looked great in the one-on-ones at the Senior Bowl. But when you look at that quickness off the ball, 4.37, better than Aaron Donald 10 years ago at 290-plus pounds. Braden Fisk can play on my team any day. Now let's move over to the offensive line. Troy Fautanu from Washington. He just looked incredible. His feet are amazing. He was explosive in the short and the long pole drills on the field. He had one of the faster 40-yard dash times. He hit 5.01. He had a top 10-yard split at 1.71. Yeah, Troy Fautanu, probably not going to be there for the Niners at the end of the first round, but this guy, he loves to destroy people in the run game. He's got great ability to climb to the second level. There are bigger, longer tackles than this guy, and he may be a guard, but, man, he looks like a Pro Bowl guard to me. Another guy that I just love is Mason McCormick from South Dakota State. Both him and Garrett Greenfield, the right side of the South Dakota State offensive line, both those guys were awesome. They really look good in all the drills. McCormick, though, really, I mean, his testing was amazing. He had a broad jump of 9.9, third highest vertical at 35.5 inches, 1.69 10-yard split, 6th fastest among all the O-linemen. Anytime you got a player coming from the FCS to the NFL, You always look for the athleticism, and this kid's got it. He's an upper level athlete who just happened to play for South Dakota State. And man, if that guy's there in the mid rounds, I'm taking him. Mason McCormick. I'd love to have both McCormick and Greenfield. I'll take the right side of that line. I'll even take that running back. Davis they have is tremendous. But yeah, I mean, Mason McCormick from South Dakota State and Garrett Greenfield from South Dakota State. Another guy that I really loved was Isaac Garendo, who I look at as maybe a replacement for Juszczyk, but man, what an athlete this kid is. 6 feet, 223 pounds, and ripped off a 4.3 340. I mean, that was amazing. This guy can really run. He's fun to watch. Garendo. It's the top time for any player at his position over 220 pounds since 2003. He also had a 41.5-inch vertical, which was the leader at running back. 10.9 broad jump, second. He's a Wisconsin transfer who finished at Louisville. They didn't use him a ton in college. He can be a fullback. To me, he's a fullback. He's a futuristic fullback. There has never been an NFL fullback who was this fast, this athletic. And if you're going to replace Juice, instead of replacing him with a big hammer, replace him with a fast guy that's hard to cover. And Garendo fits the bill. I mean, if he's there in the mid rounds, I'm taking him, and I'm probably moving off of Juice. And I love Juice, but come on. If you can add a 225-pound fullback with 4.3 speed and a 41.5-inch vertical, you do it. You do it. Another guy who was fantastic and probably priced himself out of the Niners neighborhood at the end of round one is Max Melton, the cornerback from Rutgers. Love Max Melton. Absolutely fell in love with him watching his game film. He's the younger brother of Bo Melton, who was with Seattle and then with Green Bay at the end of the year. And he was amazing in the testing. He was amazing in the drills. Max Melton ran 4.39 in his 40. That was, he's among the fastest cornerbacks in the country. He had an 11.4 broad jump. He had a 40.5-inch vertical. I mean, he's dynamic. And then if you watch his film, he will step up into the lane and set the edge in the run game and knock the hell out of the running back. I love him. I mean, if he's there on day two, I'm taking Max Melton. He is just tremendous. Another guy who I love is Michael Penix. Michael Penix Jr. is the best quarterback in the draft. I think he's better than May. I think he's better than Caleb. I think he's better than Daniels. I think Penix Jr. is better than Bo Nix. Penix Jr. was the best player in college football this year, and then he goes to the combine. He measured over 6'2" and 215 pounds. He had an 81-inch wingspan. 33 and 5/8-inch arms, 10.5-inch hands, huge. He threw the ball better than any of the other quarterbacks. He's got a howitzer of an arm. He's older. He's 24. He's not 18 or 19 or whatever. He's 24, and he's had some injuries that have to be investigated. But man, Michael Penix, they have going in the 40s. I mean, how does a player that good fall to the 40s? This is a tremendous, tremendous player. And the other player that I fell in love with this weekend, and I'm a big fan of his, and he needs a lot more development than Penix, but Joe Milton, the Tennessee quarterback. I mean, what an arm. This guy has a Josh Allen like cannon. He was throwing balls 70 yards in the air. He threw one to Tulu Griffin and Anthony Gould on deep balls that were just amazing. The throw to Tulu went 73 yards in the air and dropped in the bucket like an absolute strike. I mean, it was amazing. He had touch downfield. He threw some catchable balls in front of his receivers. There were times the passes came out a little on the flat side, but man, he had the fastest throw among the first quarterback group at the NFL Combine, 62 miles an hour, 1 mile an hour faster than J.J. McCarthy. So Joe Milton is raw, and Joe Milton is going to need some time. But if you're looking for a third round, a third quarterback, and you can develop a guy and you've got time, develop Joe Milton. I mean, this guy could wind up being the superstar in the league if things break right. He needs development. He doesn't throw with anticipation. He doesn't read coverage. He's very, very raw in a lot of respects. But man, the guy is huge. He's athletic. He's got a cannon, absolute cannon. One of the greatest arms I think I've ever seen. So there you go. That's who I fell in love with at the combine. There were others, but those guys really stood out. What a group of players when you look at some of those combine workouts. Joe Milton, Michael Penix, Max Melton, all amazing. Isaac Garendo, Mason McCormick, Garrett Greenfield, Troy Fatanu, and Braden Fisk. And then the guy who you got to love is Terion Arnold. I mean, Terion Arnold is just a tremendous person. I'd love to have him on my football team. I don't think the Niners will be able to get him, but I'd love to have him. Let's have a word right here from Aura, our sponsor of today's video as well. Have you ever typed your name on the internet and seen all of your private information is online? Are you tired of receiving tons of spam calls from random numbers? Are you receiving more and more of these as time has gone on? Well, that's where Aura, the sponsor of today's show, can really help you out. Data brokers sell your information to scammers and spammers and anyone else who may want to target you. Your full name, your email, your home address, all your records, your health records, who your relatives are. It's all out there. That's why I've been using Aura. Aura shows me which data brokers are selling my information and automatically submits opt-out requests for me. Cleaning up my information not only helps reduce the amount of spam I get, but it also protects me from hackers who could use the information to help them access my social media accounts, my bank accounts, or any other sensitive information. Aura also does so much more to protect me and my family from online threats I can't see. I get other features like antivirus, VPN, password management, parental controls, identity theft insurance, and more without having to download several different apps. It's really easy to set up. And best of all, I get everything at one affordable price. I value my privacy and I value yours. You can go to the link in the description to start your 2-week free trial. All right, there you go. The players I fell in love with at the Combine. Thanks to Pig and a Pickle for being the title sponsor of the Krug Show. Thanks to Underdog Fantasy. Thanks to all of you for supporting the Krug Show on YouTube.